All right. Oh my God. Where are we? All right. Welcome to Crossing the Streams. Hey. This is so much fun. I'm going to go over here. I got these new camera that has different angles. So you may see me reverse and I see much. Anyway, I'm Jeff Dwoskin. Welcome to Crossing the Streams. We got an amazing show, chock full of guests for you today. But as always, we're going to kick off the show with a theme song. Our guests have had no prep. So enjoy. Enjoy. Esther's going to take it away.
All right, here's the story of some lonely fellows who spend way too much time watching the TV. All of them have jobs and friends, not really, just between you and me.
Oh,
they made a live show out of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff, Ron, Sal, and Bob, and there's Howard. They call it Crossing Streams.
Jeffrey.
And then one day they went live on all the platforms. You could hear the people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platform. But man, we cross the streams.
There we go.
Everyone,
we cross
the streams.
We cross the streams. That's the way
we do it here. We cross the streams.
Esther, you nailed that so hard. I can't even believe it. No prep. Usually everyone kind of goes through it. You had no prep whatsoever. You're a
credit for
player,
interpretation there, Esther. That was
great.
awesome.
She even had like little side note things going for you.
You can use it in the future if you want.
I might have to have you record the whole thing.
I kind of feel like she's onto something there.
So I want to do a quick welcome to the show. Well, first, welcome everybody to Crossing the Streams, where we answer the universal question, what should I watch next? I just finished. Now I got to watch. What should that be? Fill in the blanks. So we got special guests that got lots of good shows to talk about today. We have squeezed in one little area.
One square.
But impressively, each has a mic, each has headphones, which makes you a friend of the show right off the bat.
Yay! We won.
Esther Nevarez and Jeffrey Horste. How are you guys? Wait. I think I had, no, did I? Oh, did I? Wait, I thought I had a little thing. Did I forget to upload it? Oh my God.
Production values,
which reminds me. All right, hang on one sec. All right, anyway, tell us about your podcast and all that kind of good stuff. And Jeff's a comedian. He's been on fancy TV and all that kind of stuff. Tell us all about it.
We have a podcast. Well, we have two podcasts together. Yes, we have. We're Freaking Out, which is more of a current events. We started it during quarantine because we were freaking out, and then we're like, well, we're just gonna. And we started out talking about like silly stuff, and then
like we were like, let's do an episode about flat Earth.
Yeah,
flat earthers. And then like the next day, just police stations were on fire, and we're like, I think there's more important things going on to freak out about. This is a little weird. Today.
Can I just say,
don't tell me you believe that birds are real.
I was just gonna say that, Jeff. I'm totally into the birds are real thing. They're not real. They're not. But
there was a big billboard in LA that's where I first saw it. The birds are real.
There's a big billboard, and I'm just like,
they're not real.
Who has so much money to put up that billboard, and how do they benefit from me seeing the billboard?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to follow the train of thought of
follow the money. Follow
the money.
We have another podcast that's called That's My Shit, where I show Jeff shit that I grew up with. That's Gen X stuff, and then Jeff shows me millennial stuff, and then we trip out on it. Which
I like that.
Most of it he has not seen what I show him, and most of it I have. I don't think I've seen anything he's showed me. I don't know what you guys were doing. It was weird times.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you are in the millennial category, but Jeff's generation was watching really strange things.
We had a few things we were into.
Everyone has weird things when you look back. It's when you show it to someone now, it's sort of. I was a huge Monkees fan, like huge.
Oh,
like,
me too.
I love the Monkees, and when they had the 50th anniversary tour at the Fox Theater, it was Mike Nesmith had come back, which I love. He was my favorite Monkee. And so Davey had passed away, but so it was the three of them. And I was like, you know what? I'm an adult. I'm a big boy. I'm going to buy good tickets. And
You
so I
are a
had, like,
big boy.
I know, right? And so
Yeah,
that's
you
what I
would.
kept. That's what I said. Yeah. So I bought third row,
Ooh.
and I brought my wife, and we watched. And when I tell you, at the end of that concert, I felt like this is the best friggin' concert I've ever seen. It was like an experience beyond experiences, because I'd seen him before, but with Mike Nesmith, whole different vibe. You know what I mean? And I turned to my wife, and she's just like, I'm like, you didn't like that? She goes, you knew those songs? I'm like, you didn't? I mean, it's like, what is going on here? What?
Just jamming out the Last Train to Clarksville.
Well, not even just that, but they played tons of really great. You know, she's like, I knew I'm a believer. You know?
Oh wow! Oh, the one with the timpani, that was my jam. I can't think of the name of it now. Randy Skit something.
Yeah, they sang that one. And then I could talk monkeys all day. But
hey, let's say
good time. I don't even know what we're talking about.
Gary Schumann says hi. Hi, Gary.
Jerry's
here.
What up,
Jerry?
Yeah.
Hi, Lee. Lee's here. What's up, Lee? Devin's in the house.
What up, Dev?
CRP.
Debbie Dev.
So we have CRP with us today, so we don't have to convince him of things. But tell us,
it's the best picture ever, dude. I don't know who took that, but that's just gold.
Thanks,
Casey,
man. I do appreciate
tell us
that
about your podcast and all that, and the Snobbies, I guess.
Well, I am one half of the Scene Snobs. We do a live show every Tuesday night where we basically review all nerd things, entertainment, movies, TV shows, comic books, if we're in the mood. Sometimes we actually stick to our topics. That's a very rare event. And this upcoming weekend, on Sunday, the 27th, we have our second annual Snobby Awards. So very excited for our independent podcast awards that we have been doing for our second year. Jeff, we were a big part of it last year, so
I won all the awards last year.
Exactly. You were the big winner.
Yeah,
you just basically swept every category. It was ridiculous.
I did. I'm not even like, that's why I didn't enter this year.
That's fair. That's understandable.
I felt like, you know what? So everyone deserves a chance.
We can use you as a presenter. I'm just saying.
I mean, but seriously, if I walk into a party and I go, hey, I won the Snobbies twice, is that going to get me laid any more than, hey, I won the Snobbies once?
Possibly, but I mean, you know what?
I mean? Not that I'm getting that was such a high school college reference. If my wife's listening,
you're going to get lifetime achievement.
I know.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I don't want it to be my lifetime. I've only been doing it a year. Congratulations.
You're a legend.
You're done already.
Oh, man. So Esther and I reconnected when I posted an interview I did with a mutual friend, Ricardo Flanagan, who had passed away last October. And I finally got around to posting the interview that I'd done with him, and we reconnected. And it just happens to be Ricardo's birthday today. So it's just funny how the universe works and puts everything together. But a hilarious comedian. Would you guys like to hear some of his stand-up?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Is that a possibility?
In the world of Jeff Dwoskin, anything is possible. Watch this.
Here we go.
That's not him, but wait, unless I got the wrong video down. I thought it was. I guess I don't know how to do this. I thought I had put in. I was using this Manycam. I was going to be so impressive.
Hey, I'm an ally.
It might go right from her
replacement.
Yeah, she's in every episode.
She's in every episode, so it might.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Hang on. There we go. Look. All right. Let's see. I don't know why. Why isn't it playing?
So close.
I hate live podcasts.
I know.
This reminds me of trying to watch porn on my 4K modem at a 14.
Well, I tried, but that's our man. That's the man. One of the funniest people ever. I tried.
Jerry, here comes the porn.
It just doesn't work.
I love the cockiness beforehand, where you're like, with Jeff Dwoskin, anything is possible.
I know. Well, technology has failed me miserably, but at least we aired him. It was his birthday.
Yeah.
Anybody watching, go to YouTube.
Yeah, go to YouTube.
Carlo Flanagan, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, tons of great stuff there. So, all right, well, awesome. I tried. A for effort.
Nice try. Next time we'll be.
Look at
next time we may.
Oh wait, let me get everyone else back on. There we go. I like how no one mentioned it.
I'm
Jeff,
over
you're
the
solo. You're all by yourself.
Oh Lord. and we didn't watch last night, so
Oh yeah.
that only
Well,
because we
don't-
couldn't.
Well, how does that comment help, Jason?
Yeah.
That is very negative energy. How about that?
That is very, yeah. Come on, Jason.
But I don't know. Maybe something terrible happened.
Anyway, I should have done this just before, but the drinking rules remain intact for the show. Technical issues, I think we've already had 5.
Oh my God.
Drink, if anyone on the show drinks, usually that's Bob or Sal. They're not here. You drink. If we have to ask what platform the show is on, drink. If your name gets put on screen, drink. If we forget anybody's name, drink. So let's get with that. Let's also, we just stand with Ukraine, and that'll put that out there. Good vibes to the world. So last week, if you joined us last week, we had a fabulous time. We talked about Bathtubs Over Broadway, which I can't recommend enough. Columbo, Klitschko, which is about the guy who's now the Ukrainian mayor, who was a boxer. So definitely relevant. The Royal Family, and Untold, Deal with the Devil, which is not a romantic comedy, which we've come to know and love from Sal. Sal usually does romantic comedies, and all of a sudden he's doing Deal from the Devil.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, what a departure.
I know,
I didn't know he was a rom-com man.
Oh, he's such a rom.
You knew that, you said?
No, I did not know.
Yeah.
This week we got a great lineup. We got Black Crab,
Ooh.
Genius, the Kanye Trilogy. I guess 3 episodes. I'm assuming it's a 3-episoder. Bad Vegan, This Is Us, and Pam and Tommy.
Oh,
So excited to talk about Pam and Tommy, but we're going to kick things off with Black Crab.
Yeah,
going to talk us through Black Crab.
Yeah, and let's check one of the boxes right off the bat. This is on Netflix, ladies and gentlemen. This is another algorithm suggested to me based on the depths and darkness of my soul. They know who I am and they know what to serve me up. So here we are with the Black Crab. I had no idea what this thing was. I turned it on because I do know Noomi Rapace. Do you guys know who Noomi Rapace is?
Oh yeah, fantastic actress.
Noomi Rapace is a Swedish actress, very famous for what, CRP?
Well, I mean, she recently did
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh my, there you go.
Yeah.
She's the original.
Yeah.
She's the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and she's
original Elizabeth.
The original Elizabeth. So in the original Swedish, before they did that horrendous monstrosity in English, how do
you really feel about it?
Right, the original version was excellent. So I'm like, okay, so if Noomi Rapace is going to be in this thing, I don't know anybody else. Adam Berg is the writer and director of this. He's never done anything. Netflix did fund this thing. They produced it. So if Netflix is going to give this guy, a first-time director and writer, a whole bag of money and put Noomi Rapace in front of it, sure, I'll watch it. Why not? What's an hour and 45 minutes between friends, right? So I'll just give you the backdrop. It is a dystopian situation. I think in Sweden they never really say. There are forces of good and evil. You don't know which side you're on, but they refer to who it is they are facing throughout the movie as purely the enemy, which I think is very interesting and calculated. And whoever side they are on, and Noomi Rapace is on the side of good apparently, they are losing the war very, very badly. And the movie begins with her being conscripted into the military by losing her daughter by force, and then the movie begins essentially from the moment she kind of appears on screen now as a soldier, whereas a moment ago she was a mother losing her daughter. So you don't know what happened in between there. You just know that she's been through some shit and that she's got to figure out how best to find and care for this daughter that is no longer with her. They're losing the war. They're all dying. Soldiers left and right are losing. And so she is pulled into a very special unit that is going to change the course of humanity. And the way it is going to change the course of humanity is she is going to deliver a package, which you don't know what this package is. I'm telling you, this movie has a lot of hidden secrets. They don't tell you shit. They don't tell you anything in this movie. She's going to be delivering this package, which somehow is going to turn the tide of this war. The only problem is that where she's delivering the package is this remote island that is only available on over ice, and the ice won't support cars or trucks or military vehicles. It will just support people on ice skates. Turns out Noomi Rapace is a heck of a skater. I had no idea. So these 6 people who they've selected for this mission carry off on ice skates from the mainland over hundreds of miles. They're skating on this ice and face every kind of calamity you can think of. And that kind of does the whole, Hunger Games kind of thing where you start with 6 and then it's 5 and then it's 4, right? Like the team gets smaller and smaller and smaller as terrible things happen. This is a very upbeat movie, right?
Sounds like
and then they finally get to the island, but not before they get too curious to figure out what the hell is this package. And they finally decide they're going to look at, even though they were told very specifically, don't look at what the package is. They look at what the package is, and they are able to assess it is a biological weapon designed to kill everybody on Earth. And that's how they're going to, that's how their side of good is going to win the war. So I will not wreck the story about what ends up happening in case any of you guys have any interest based on all this wonderful backstory that I've just shared with you. But I will just say this: it does not end in a way that's going to make you sleep well at night. This is a dark gray movie that it takes you for a ride. It's a very cold movie based in Sweden, I'm assuming, with most of the movie actually in the snow and ice and cold. So it's one of those kinds of movies. You've seen these before. And there's not a lot of warmth to it in any kind of measure. So I'll just say this. It's an exhausting ride. It's not a lot of fun.
But did you enjoy it?
Hold on, I'm getting there. Give me a second. The payoff is not as good as they wanted it to be because they're not because they're not telling you what you need to know. This is the thing. When movies are like this, where they set it up as a lot of secrets and they don't tell you everything, you have to have a payoff where things are revealed. And guess what? Nothing is really revealed in this movie other than what the package they were carrying, which was, I guess they were counting on to be the big reveal and to kind of carry them the rest of the way. Not so much, boys and girls. You still don't know who the sides are. You don't know what really happened. You don't know how this thing really gets sealed up in any kind of meaningful way. But I will just say it holds your attention. The visual way this movie plays out is beautiful. It's a stellar production in terms of the way they photographed it, and I think the way the choreography was excellent. And Noomi Rapace is fantastic. She carries the movie. That's obviously why they hired her for this movie. But it's got gaps. I'm not going to lie. It has gaps. But I will say it is a trip, and it is an interesting movie. It's all, I should have mentioned this on the front end. It's in Swedish. So the whole movie's subtitled.
Oh, wow.
So if you like the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, it has that same kind of vibe, just not as good. So, but check it out. I really think it is an interesting movie. I'm glad I watched it. I thought the payoff was good enough for me to have felt the time was well spent. But it is an interesting movie to watch, and because of that, I recommend it.
Well, it's not the first movie to not reveal something, right? Castaway, you never know what's in the FedEx box.
That's true.
Pulp Fiction, you never know what's in the briefcase.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a trope. It's a trope.
It is a trope. The filing down of the main character 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, getting down. Like, I thought that was a very tired method, right?
Well, and were the characters even interesting enough? Did you care as they started to die?
No.
Okay,
Oh,
so
man.
yeah, I mean, well then, yeah, there's no point to it.
You care about. They set the movie up beautifully between her and her daughter. You care about them, but then she's surrounded by all these characters that you don't care about, and they focus a lot of time trying to make you care about them when you really don't, and you're really more interested in getting back to the tale of where the heck is her daughter and how in the heck is she going to get her back, and it's a weak.
And
it's
how
a-
does
it's a
that
weak
work
conclusion.
how does that work with a device that's supposed to kill all human life? I don't.
Fair
Why would he
question.
care about her
Yeah.
daughter?
That was
Fair
gonna be my
que-
question.
Fair question.
Trying to get
CRP.
people to care about people you didn't kill. If all you have to do is watch The Walking Dead and know that doesn't work. It's like-
But listen, I'll just say this: it's interesting. It's Swedish. I think they do the style of the movie. You can tell is very European. It's a different style of movie that makes it interesting. I'll just say
No,
that.
as many times as you mentioned Swedish. Is that an important driving factor in this? Is that a grading
listen,
character?
they make great
I-
pop music, so they probably make
listen.
it.
I think they make great cheap furniture, and I'm in
Yeah.
favor of that. The meatballs
Fish.
are excellent, but you never saw furniture or meatballs in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, fish too. I guess that's
The fish is a little boring, but
Neither of those. All right, well, that was good. All right, so you do recommend it though.
I do recommend it. Check it out, and I'm interested in your opinion.
how are the
All right.
reviews of it? Like compared
It's
to
got-
what your
it's four-
review
it's-
is?
It's 48% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, all right.
So, okay, but not great.
All right, let's move on. Speaking of genius, let's a Kanye trilogy. Esther,
All
you-
right. Yes. So this was on Netflix. I don't know. Did anybody see this?
No.
Oh wow. Well, Jeff did. Yeah.
Okay.
And feel free to chime in, Jeff, as
Yeah.
well. But it is filmed. It's a documentary. It is filmed like 22 years ago, I think 21 years ago. But he's been filming his life since then. Since 22 years ago, he has a friend. His name is Cootie, and his friend did stand-up comedy. And his friend stopped doing stand-up comedy on a regular basis. Did it a little bit on the side, but with stand-up, you do it every night, pretty much. The people who are really trying. He stopped doing stand-up to film Kanye's life when Kanye didn't even have a deal yet. He was a producer, but he didn't have anything. So he's producing. He knew people, but he's filming this. And Cootie's just there his whole life with his mom, for 22. He's during the filming of it. There are times when he gets famous. Part of the story is how he treated Cootie when he big timed him a bit, and then they didn't talk for a while. But this friend would be like, and the voiceover is terrible. I hate the voiceover. Jeff enjoys it. This guy talks like Kanye didn't know what was gonna happen to him when he walked into this room. Like, why did he sounds like
he adds like extra syllables to words that somehow.
But then when he talks, like when they
so
just
slow.
show him talking,
He sounds normal.
fine.
He sounds
He
normal
sounds
when
like
he's
a
just
man.
talking.
But when he's doing the voiceover, I don't know what got into him, but it's ridiculous. And there would be times when he's like, I hadn't talked to Kanye in 6 years, but when I heard Kanye was going to be in New York, I knew I had to go and film him. Why though? Your best friend didn't talk to you for 6 years and is doing, things with Taylor Swift and all the things that, like George Bush hates black people, but Kanye got Cootie. All right. But yeah, he would just be there. I couldn't understand. And I was also tripped out by the Kanye and stand-up connection that I didn't know was so tight, because like one of the guys on his first album is a stand-up comic that has a show here in LA that I was like, he was like on
D. Ray Davis.
What is it called again? The first album?
College Dropout?
Yeah. He was in College Dropout. I didn't remember
He did a
that was him.
He was the Bernie Mac impression of
it was just interesting how the stand-up coincided. And I worked in recording studios in Chicago, and so one of the engineers was a guy that I used to work with, and it was so interesting seeing all the recording studio stuff, because the other thing was how he just glazed right over R. Kelly. Like they just showed him in one of the, because this was in what year I don't remember what 22 years ago is. I think it was around 99 or something, but it was around the time when R. Kelly got in trouble for peeing on the girls. And all they show is Kanye watching Little girls. I'm sorry, I meant little girls. I was not specific enough at all.
Little blonde girls. Sorry.
Little girls. But they show him like watching the news coverage of when he found out, which I think is just so funny for him to pretend like he never knew. Everyone in the music industry in Chicago all knew each other and all knew that R. Kelly was peeing on girls, but that's a different documentary. So
comedy-wise, they also had Jamie Foxx. So the Jamie Foxx aspect of it,
was an interesting
they gave
connection.
him freedom to just kind of be funny, and it was interesting.
It showed how he started out knowing or thinking that he was talented, a genius, deserved what he got. That
before anything.
Jay-Z didn't give him what he deserved in a timely fashion, even though he's credited as like helping start Kanye's career when he was and Kanye would rap to anyone. He was so just motivated, 24/7 working. He would walk into an office where at the label he wanted to be on Rockefeller, where just a woman's answering the phone and he's like, all right, well, I got to do my new song for you. And he'd play it and just start rapping to this receptionist. And she's just like, I don't know what to do with this.
I can't help your career. I answer phones. I don't really know what you want me to do with this.
It was just so great to see how in the beginning, his mom, his mom's named Donda, and she passed away during the course of this filming because it's filmed for 20 years, but I can't remember what year. It was like 2008 or something like that when she passed away. And he was just she was the only one that he would listen to. And you can just see where when she passed away, his mental health issues happened and it just went into a spiral of like, oh, I just watch it like I wish she wasn't gonna die. Like I want to watch you're watching a documentary,
supportive.
Did she die from a
plastic surgery?
Plastic surgery?
Like a botched plastic
surgery
issue.
That's rough.
But she was so sweet. I thought she was going to be like kind of like a stage mom type woman, and she was just really, really genuinely sweet and supportive.
She knew his raps. That's how supportive she was. It's insane as a comedian thinking from that perspective of like my mom knowing word by word how a joke of mine goes. You know what I mean? Not just the premise of it, but no, because she would be like, "Are you still going to do this song?" And then she would just like say the whole verse, and that's like that level of how supportive she was of his career to where she was an active part of every decision he was making when she was around.
Yeah, it made me kind of have a little sympathy for him, even though he does terrible things.
I think it's impossible to watch it and not have slightly more sympathy than you had before, to at least see how we got the person that we have today, to see like, nobody starts. He was you saw him do so many random acts of kindness throughout it too.
Yeah, he really did. And it showed like why he's with a Kardashian. Like I'm sure he's like, oh wait, you've been filming yourself for 20 years? Hey, I've been filming myself for 20 years. Put this documentary out.
Yeah, I mean, I used to make fun of Kanye all the time. Like when I say like, going back 5 or 6 so years on Twitter and stuff like that. But once you start to realize there was probably some real issues going on there. It just, you're like, oh God, it's kind of like, all the mea culpas people have to do with Britney Spears and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But it was interesting to see his work ethic and how everything came about for him.
Going from the strategy of being a producer and rapper was just a very interesting dynamic because nobody respected, people only viewed him as a producer. They're like, oh no, you make beats. That's what you do. But he made beats so he could rap over them, to just cut out the middleman and just be in control of his own career. But it took years for people to respect that he could do both things.
So the one question that we always ask in a documentary style show, so this is 3 episodes.
Yes.
Could it have been 1 episode, 2 episodes? Was it rightfully a solid 3 episodes?
It could have been way more episodes because he had so much footage for so long, even though he didn't film constantly through some of the times when he was like a bigger name, but they could have just put together. It's like when it was more about the guy who filmed it, like Cootie. When he didn't film, he didn't fill in a ton of blanks. There are albums they didn't even talk about that are some of his most famous albums just because Cootie wasn't there for it. But somebody could have put it together.
I always wonder how you can edit that much footage into something that's really usable. You know,
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
very boring life.
Yeah, how many years did it take to edit 22 years of footage?
That's what
And
they
that
did
much
with
content.
Get Back with
I was
the Beatles.
just gonna, Jeff, you're on my mind
Oh,
today,
yeah.
man. That's exactly what I was just gonna say. Like when you have that much footage, you can create any narrative you want about the person. Like you can make it say anything you want about it.
Yeah,
Because you got
exactly.
you got 20 years of footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick all the good or bad emotions that this person's displayed throughout that much time.
I just think Kanye's a genius. I'm sorry. I know he's had his issues and all that, but I find him just absolutely insanely smart and like everything he does in my mind isn't crazy like that. He's got a logic to it that is a level above all of us.
I don't know about the president part.
I don't know about the president. I don't know about any of it. I don't understand it.
Well,
I think any megalomaniac.
I think that was a little manipulation. That he was being manipulated a bit. I'll say that.
I definitely cried. There was a part when he was bonding with his mom, and I was like, I was a mess, and I was like, really? I'm crying over, and I don't just cry all the time. Like, but I was like
crying over Kanye.
You reach a certain age and everything cries.
You're going to be on record of somebody who doesn't cry all the time. Is that what?
I don't think I cry all.
I mean, not for life, but television.
I don't think I cry at every sad thing.
Okay.
I mean, we collectively cry more than probably most people we know, but still.
A reminder: where do we find this?
Netflix.
All right, and it's a solid 3 episodes. Are they like 45 minutes episodes or?
No, they're long.
90. Okay,
wasn't one like 3 hours?
Maybe the last one was, but I feel like the first 2 were like an hour to an hour and a half. I thought.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
All right. Great job.
Jeff,
it sounds awesome.
You cried with on El Cante. I know you told us that, right?
I haven't seen that, but I mean, there was. I cry as far back as The Love Boat.
I love that you have a cry origin.
They're getting back.
I cry as far back as I started crying back in the year.
The Love Boats.
I'll tell you the first time I ever sobbed. I can tell you because I remember I was with Robin, who is my wife now, but she wasn't at the time. Was watching Mr. Holland's Opus in the theater. I literally freaking lost it at that last scene. Tears. I still remember. I can picture myself like, sometimes you can hide it where you're like, like when all the Spider-Men show up, you're like, but
legit. I felt that way about the Money Pit. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
All right, let's go. Let's do another show. Let's talk about Bad Vegan. Another Netflix show. They owe us money, I think. Casey Ryan Plott, take us through it.
All right. So Bad Vegan. I am on a roll with these shows. So last time I was here, we had the Tinder Swindler, which is
everywhere. I'd never heard of it before, and then all of a sudden it was everywhere. So that
blew up, became huge. Well, this is another swindler in action story. Bad Vegan. So Bad Vegan can be found on Netflix. It's a story of Sarma Melangailis. Never really quite figured her name out, even after 4 episodes. That's problematic. But her name was Sarma. She started as a big celebrity chef. So in 99, she went to culinary school. By 2005, she had this vegan storefront. And the name of the place was One Lucky Duck and Pure Food and Wine. So this place was huge. It was serving all kinds of elite. Everybody was coming to it. It was a raw vegan place. So it was a big deal in the restaurant world. New York City, it was a big scene spot. And she started making money. She had opened it originally with a fellow chef, and then they split and they were done. So she decided, well, I want to have a dog instead. So she gets this dog, and this dog seems to play a really important role because she meets Alec Baldwin, becomes friends with Alec Baldwin through the restaurant. So that's a fascinating bit. There's a bunch of twists throughout. Well, this dog, she becomes so attached to, it's basically her life, and she finds a guy who talks about helping it become immortal. Things get crazy now. Yeah.
Okay.
That was sort of normal leading up to this. Well, this guy apparently claims he's a black ops, special ops guy. Apparently he's been friends with Alec Baldwin through Twitter. So that's how she got to know him. And he starts asking her for money. And she starts giving him money because he talks about how he's going to help support her. And by her giving him this money, he's going to pay it back tenfold. Right now, these are all tests, and she just has to continue giving him this money. So this is all the detriment to her own business. And she's an intelligent woman who went to college. She worked as an investment banker when she first got out of college before going to culinary school. So this is like her second career. You'd think she would be pretty well together, and yet she completely falls for this guy in a cult-like manner, to the point where she doesn't pay her staff. She's not taking care of anyone, and she just takes off, wind up owing people around like $850,000 to $1.2 million that she just swindled and took from investors. Just bailed. Done. Gone. It was insane. And all for this dude who's not attractive, who's a jerk. And all he does is he goes to casinos and just spends money. He's just been screwing with her the whole time. Yeah. It's a wild ride. It's 4 episodes of a very intense, weird shell game that she's playing victim. So they interview all of the staff from the restaurant. It's interviews going with back to her. She's actually speaking the entire time. They have phone conversations, recordings of all the things that she went to and the way he would talk to her about these demons and people coming after her. And she had to keep paying this money so that way he would keep his brother at bay. It makes no sense. Any logical person listening to this, it's a very strange set of circumstances. And the way it all unfolds is just a wild tale of absurdity. And the way she gets caught, so they go on the run. Obviously, you're that big in debt. They just took off. And that's what the entire last episode focuses on. And they got caught because they bought Domino's pizza. So this big vegan restaurateur gets nailed because of the Domino's pizza order. So yeah.
Wait, she used a credit card or how?
Yes, used a credit card with their names on it. After knowing they had charges against them.
I love stories like that. That's fantastic.
I think we could do a whole podcast on like criminals that got caught just because they were speeding and got pulled over. I think that happens all the time.
Yeah,
it does. That's how you get nailed. Busted taillights. Sorry, Esther.
No, who got caught?
So the couple that ran off. So she got married to this guy who was basically screwing him the whole time. I mean, he was just finding any way to just ask for more money, and come to find out he's spending it all at a casino, just gambling. Just high rolling. It's ridiculous. So then he shows up, and at one point he sends her to Rome for like 2 months, and he's like, yeah, you need a vacation. And he tries to take the business out from underneath her while she's on this vacation. The whole time he's like, oh, I'll be out there tomorrow, but I missed my flight. So while he's having like meetings with her entire staff, and he's in charge of all of her electronic devices too. Like, it's wild how we did this. It's nuts. All just by asking for it. Asking for the information.
CRP, how did you choose this film, this show?
Okay, so this one was
sounds
actually
like he's doing research based on Tinder Swindler and this.
I mean, yeah. At first, after the Tinder Swindler, I realized this was just a blueprint.
This doesn't seem like a
single
CRP.
man. I was like, this is exactly the way to go.
Yeah. Got it. And so was it served up to you by the algorithm, or
it was? Yep, absolutely. Okay. And I was totally hook, line, and sinker in. I love my Netflix docudramas. The crime dramas are fantastic. Something I can chew through real quick and go, their life is way worse than mine.
Jeff, I got a new show for us that we should think about. We give each other our Netflix login, and we go through the recommendations to see how sick each of us are with our respective recommendations. I can only imagine what CRPs are.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's a myriad of rom-coms and crime dramas. It's weird.
Oh man, that is too funny. All right, that's cool. So real quick, same question. This is a documentary. It's 4 episodes. Did it need to be 4 episodes?
It was actually, I think, timed very well. Each episode being roughly 52 minutes running time. It was intelligently done. It was a lot of fun. Once again, watching this roller coaster of crazy unfurl, they did a really good job of telling the entirety of the story, and definitely picked up some pointers. Found some good tips of what not to do. So what to pay attention to, how not to get caught in traps.
How many Xanax pills out of 5 do we get with this?
Oh, this one is a full 4.5 Xanny
bars. Too funny. Oh wait, hey, Carmen's here. Hey, Carmen.
Hey, Carmen.
Hey,
Hi.
Carmen.
And then we had T Nears. This was a comment from Kanye. That is true.
Sure.
That is
Agreed.
true. All right, cool. So let's
Jerry.
get to another one. Let's get to a tearjerker of all
Oh
shows.
no.
This is
Yeah.
us now in its 400th season. Jeff,
No.
take it away.
Last season, no less.
Yeah, this is last season. This is a tearjerker show. This is a show that when people watch it and they say they don't cry, then you can't trust them. You can't trust people that their body isn't producing an emotion that millions of dollars is put into this program to make you. Yeah, you're broken if you don't cry watching this, especially the first season. It's almost every single episode for the first couple of seasons. And it's about Jack and Rebecca, husband and wife. It's about their love story at first, to where it's kind of hard to not spoil it without just describing the
I
entire
mean,
thing.
can we spoil the pilot?
I think if it's something that's
I mean,
been
it's in
on,
the
It's been
seventh
around
year.
long enough.
Yeah,
You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
spoil
You
the
can spoil
pilot
it.
at least.
You can spoil
If
it.
you
Okay.
remember the pilot,
So-
how it ended.
I remembered the pilot. You might have to help me out with this. I remember the pilot being was what hooked us on the show, because it seemed like it was about separate stories, and then it all came together, and then you found out that they were a family. That was the family. They play with time a lot.
In
They
the
do
future.
in the future. They do a good job
the
of
past.
showing the past and the future, and then showing how people become who they grow up to be. And it's very interesting. That remind me of the pilot. Just take over.
Okay. Sorry. The Rebecca and Jack have 3 children. They have triplets, but one of them dies. One of the triplets dies, so they end up adopting a baby who comes in that same day that they had the
Who's born the
the-
same day?
the kid. So they have 3 infants at the same time, but in the pilot they're showing the adult lives, and you don't know that the past is the past because they don't really tell you.
Yeah.
And in the very end, you realize that you were watching their parents. You think you're just
Mhm.
watching another couple of people.
They did
But
it.
now when they go back and forth, you always know
Yeah.
what time it is. They changed like the coloring and
so
But in the
Rebecca
first
and
episode-
Jack is Mandy Moore and Milo Bertmaglia.
And they
Yeah.
did a very good job with Mandy Moore. I was very surprised at the casting and just the acting of it all, because of having to make them look older and it being believable. I believe that Mandy Moore is an older woman
She
when
does
I'm
a really
watching
good
it.
job.
She does a really good job of making me feel like she's an older. I don't know how old she is in the last season, but
has
so
to be like
the
60s.
story really stems around the passing of Jack. You find out early on. It's what's interesting to me about This Is Us is that they do a lot of things in reverse and they still make it interesting. They're like, all right, so Jack's gonna die, and then so the whole first season you're like, is it? I think today's the episode he dies, and you're like, all right, nope, it's not. All right, today's the episode.
Yeah, he
he's
drives
gonna
drunk.
God
and
damn
you're
it!
like,
When is
"All
he?
right."
When is this guy gonna die? I need this to get over with. How does he die? And so they do a lot of showing the future of like these two people get together, and then we find out how that comes to be. And I feel like I don't know how that works for me, but I'm still in suspense of
Yeah.
and interested in how it comes to be. The casting of it, I really think, is amazing, because I don't know whose job it is to find children that you believe will grow up to look like this adult version of somebody else. But the whole time I'm like,
And then they have different ages.
this is insane. This is insane. They added the same freckle on one of their
eyeball.
eyeballs.
She's
just
an
to
eyeball freckle.
she's got an eyeball freckle, and then so they gave as a young kid, they're like, put on this eyeball freckle contact or something. I
Yeah.
don't know how they do it, but it does. There's so many characters that they add that it's hard for me to give too much in depth to any of them specifically. But it really is it shows about their family and just how much the passing of their father because it really stems around the three of them, the two brothers and sister, and it shows just how much his passing affects their lives as they grow older.
And they do a lot of parallels. Like they'll have a theme, like, okay, this is all of them having a hard time being a dad or something. And so they'll show, like, in the past, somebody having whatever this hard time is with the dad, and like they'll have that same problem in like 3 different timelines, but it's not obvious where they're where it seems forced. It just seems like natural, but then you'll go, oh wait, they were just having this kind of conversation, and now these people in this timeline are having this kind of conversation. It's cool.
They set up so much backstory to all of these characters that during the pandemic, during the protests, when they added that aspect to the show, part of you just thinking of them from a writing standpoint, you're like, did you rewrite? How much of the show did you have to rewrite because you weren't planning on having to give people masks and talk about being boosted? And you know, there's so many aspects of it that I'm like, how much of this did you have to redo? But it doesn't feel forced somehow because they gave enough depth into the characters beforehand that it just seems like it's not like they were like, just now today we're going to talk about race because Randall, the one that's adopted, he's black, and they talked enough about his background and what made him feel different that when they brought it back later on, it felt appropriate without it being like a forced plot that you think some shows are like, all right, a bad thing happened in the news, we gotta act like we care, how do we just force this in here and title the episode "We're Good People"? Like they didn't do that.
Sometimes they'll have episodes that aren't about any. They had an episode that wasn't about any characters. It was just a side story,
and then at the end I thought they were going to tie it to somebody that was like related to somebody and make it and they were like, this is based on a true story of. And it was I've never seen that.
Yeah,
I've never seen that. So that
they
was a little
did it
weird.
Once, but they do go to like some side characters sometimes and go to the past and like show them.
Wasn't it about like somebody who invented something for video games? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Like it was very weird.
Yeah, I forget what it was.
But yeah, they just do a good job in that.
When you were talking earlier, Jerry just posted this comment. It's exactly what I was thinking when you were talking about that. Is he going to die in this episode? About Kristen Glover losing his arm in Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah.
So the reason I never watched This Is Us, and I remember specifically choosing not to watch it, is I remember the promos, and I was like, this just looks like one of those shows that's just going to manipulate me to try and cry and feel emotion.
Manipulate. You feel cheated. It's good to cry, Jeff.
Well, it's not. There's storytelling that kind of just gets you there, but it just felt like this was engineered to make you cry. Like it was just like this is good. Everything's gonna twist and turn you, and you know. How real can that feel? You know, I mean, you still cry.
There's a lot of humor in it, and they're good
but you're
characters.
Saying, I mean, I'm hearing good things.
How many seasons is this show?
Yeah.
There's like 99 episodes.
7. I want to say this is the 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
But this is the last one.
For those of us who haven't even begun it, it sounds like such an overwhelming investment to get started on it.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's also different of opinions for what people are interested in television. To me, I think that we should force people to cry so they don't grow up and become serial killers. I think
that's what Drake
should be. It should be
Casey
mandatory
to
make men cry watching television. And
no, that's what DreamWorks is for. You know, they handle that. Pixar does that. They're ready
you're
for
crying
it,
in like a kid way. You know what I mean? Or I'd like seeing adults go through sad things.
I get
it. To grow up and be a human being.
And you're right. The cast is amazing. I mean, Chrissy Metz, Sterling K. Brown, Justin Hartley, #My Green Arrow. But
and they're not perfect. They show them flawed. But they still make them likable, and that makes it just more realistic. So there's not like
I see their perspective.
Person.
They do a good job of, even if they make a decision that I disagree with, of like, I don't think they should have did that. I see they build the characters up enough to where I'm like, I see why you did that. Like I see where everybody's coming from. I don't think there's ever a moment where I'm like, nobody would ever do that. That's insane.
Yeah, even the dad he's like looked at as like, oh, he was the best and he's the pedestal, and everybody wants to be like, he was a drunk and he was like, he had problems.
They view him as being perfect, but they still show his flaws.
So you're all in. You're all in on This Is Us.
I'm all in.
Oh yeah, that's one of the only shows that we actually keep up with. He had a show last night, or we would have watched.
Is it streamable? Where can you watch the previous seasons?
Hulu.
All right, cool, awesome, great job.
Yeah,
you guys
nice
rock.
job, guys.
You guys are welcome back anytime.
We
won.
All
right, so speaking of Hulu, hang on. Why can't I find anything? Okay, here we go. Speaking of Hulu, recently put out
I want to see that.
Pam and Tommy. Pam and Tommy. This is, of course, is the story of Tommy Lee and Pam Anderson and their infamous sex tape. Let me start by saying that this was made 100% without any of their input or approvals.
I didn't know that.
Oh my god!
Or wish that it got made at all.
Oh my god!
Pam Anderson has gone on record as saying she would never watch a millisecond of this.
Wow.
I assume Tommy Lee would feel the same. It's mostly based on an article from Rolling Stone called Pam and Tommy, the untold story of the world's most infamous sex tape. I also believe that article we had very little to do, little input from Pam and Tommy, but don't quote me on that part.
It's crazy that you can do that. Like without somebody's permission. Like that, I feel like that it feels illegal. Like it feels illegal for me to be like the Jeff Dwoskin movie, and you're like, nah, don't make that. And I'm like, I don't know, fuck you. This is the Jeff Dwoskin story.
Well,
like, that just seems insane.
Apparently you can, but then you have to do certain things. So, for example, like recently I saw a story where somebody was making a Billy Joel movie, and Billy Joel came out and said, I give no permissions. You can't use an ounce of my music. So, like they'll rewrite songs. They, sing us a song. I'm on the organ here. I mean, like they'll change it a little bit, right? They'll do something.
Switch it up a little.
So I will say this is an 8-part series. It is on Hulu. It's all streamable now. It stars Lily James as Pam Anderson and Sebastian Stan. Lily James was, I believe, Cinderella, and Sebastian Stan is known the Winter Soldier, amongst other things. Let me say first, it's worth watching just to see the insane transformation. They literally turned Lily James into Pam Anderson. Now, 4 hours of prosthetics and makeup a day to turn her into. They went as far as the space between her eyes, her eyebrows, the amount of forehead she had. Her entire chest actually was a prosthetic.
They made her eyes further apart?
Well, I think they kind of made it so it would appear that way. And then different eyebrows and
big surgery.
Yeah, I mean, like her prosthetic chest to give her the workouts and diets to give her the same curves and like
oh my god,
insane. I mean, it's as close as you can get. I mean, it's like crazy. And then Sebastian Stan, I guess, lost so much weight to play Tommy Lee. And to Jeff's point earlier about can you do this? They mimicked his tattoos, but they didn't do them exactly the same because it's considered art. That could that could have
never
been
knew that.
Oh my god!
They actually came up during I think the second Hangover movie when they gave whatchamacallit,
Tyson?
that one tattoo, the Tyson tattoo, but it was to Ed Helms. They gave Ed Helms the Tyson tattoo, but that's considered art, and they copied it anyway. So, but even Sebastian Stan, I mean, like prosthetic nipples, it took 45 minutes a day to put on. They mimicked most of his tattoos, so you wouldn't really know the difference. I mean, everything was prosthetic on him, including his penis. So let me get into the fact this is a lot of swearing, and there is a lot of nudity in this. Tonally, it bounces back and forth. The first few episodes are crazy and fun, and it gets more docudrama as it goes on. But I think the second episode, there's actually a scene where he has a conversation with his very famous penis, and Tommy Lee does. And he's on drugs, obviously, at the time, or maybe that wasn't obvious. But
clearly.
But he has a conversation. I guess they pulled that from Tommy Lee's memoir, where he just would have conversations. But
wow,
you're my best friend.
I read
Amazing.
I did
Wow.
read I did read something that said that in terms of accuracy, this story follows the threads very accurately. There was very little that they embellished or kind of blew up. I will say that. So the story is about Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen, I think, was part of putting this whole thing together. He plays a character named Rand. Rand is the person who stole the tape. And Nick Offerman is in it. He plays Uncle Milty, who is a porn producer. And let me just say, Nick Offerman is like a gift from the heavens.
He's so good.
He's not
the
even
best.
in it. He's not in it that much, but when he's in it more in the beginning and then very less as it moves on. But when they cut to him, when even in this quick scenes, it's just such a joy. I mean, you're like, I'm so blessed to be seeing this version of Nick Offerman as a scummy porn producer. It's just, it's worth its weight in gold right there. And then Andrew Dice Clay, who I think is a good actor. Actually, he was great in what was the movie with Lady Gaga?
License to Drive? Oh,
no, the remake.
With, Star is Born.
Star is Born. He played Lady Gaga's father in that. He was great.
Oh, wow.
That was great.
Really?
And yeah. And so anyway, so he plays the mobster that gives them the $50,000 to get the tape out there. So it's interesting because it kind of follows the story as Rand, Seth Rogen's character, I think was interviewed in the Rolling Stone article about how he stole the tape and then really tried to kind of put it, he went everywhere to try and sell this tape, but none of the porn producers would take the tape because there wasn't consent. There was no consent forms. And so it's an interesting theme. It's like all of a sudden you start, now look, I can say the tape, the Pam and Tommy sex tape, I've not seen it more than 10 times. I practiced that.
That was done. That was
good. It was good timing.
Thank you. And but it kind of like you start to feel, and I think like once there was all those phone hacks not too long ago, you start to get a different perspective and understanding of we shouldn't be seeing these. There's a difference between the sex tape and porn, right? And they kind of talk about that. And there's a real interesting scene where they say, no, a porn is when they give consent. And this was a tape that they made on their honeymoon. And so that's one interesting theme. I read, I was reading a review, and it was interesting that one of the themes is consent, but the whole show was made without the consent of everybody. It's actually about.
When you champion a cause without actually committing to it.
Right. So it's, this is a story about two people that were very much in love, and it was, overall, it's a very interesting story. And they, except for the rest of Motley Crue, which looked a little cosplayish to me, the level of detail that they went into to like recreate things was really kind of crazy. And so it kind of takes you through everything they had to deal with once the sex tape was released. It's funny now watching something where they're like, there's this thing called the internet. And, it's like, but that was the way it was. It was just so crazy the way they, got this tape on the internet and started distributing it. And it was interesting that, it kind of covered the difference between its impact on Pamela Anderson versus its impact on Tommy Lee. And I think it's still today. And it's like, Pamela Anderson, becomes the slut, and Tommy Lee is like this, stud hero. Right. And it's like how unfair that whole thing is. And so I enjoyed it a lot. I think it was really good. I don't think it had to be 8 episodes. I think it easily could have been
8 inches.
4 or 5 episodes. I think they kind of expound and go deeper into certain parts of the story that maybe didn't. I kind of feel like with a lot of real life stories, there's a lot at the beginning and it kind of narrows down, right? I think any story you can talk about, everything happens at the beginning, and then by the time the end, there's just not as much excitement towards the
Mhm.
end. You know, it's kind of like a down
Mhm.
funnel.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is the same thing. I feel like they could have made this a little tighter. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I like the fact that it was a whole story, but you know, I think it could have been 4 episodes.
Don't do it.
What?
Don't do it, CRP. I see. Nothing.
What? I was just going to say, what do you think?
Nothing.
Like fewer penis conversations? I'm curious where you straight.
No, I just mean like, you know, like they do a thing with lawyers. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been, you know, that could have been 20 minutes. Yeah,
Fair.
it didn't have to be
So-
45
So they
minutes.
had
The
something good.
deposition didn't need 40 minutes to get the point.
Sure.
You know,
They
something
had
like
something
that, yeah.
good. They didn't know where they ultimately were going with it, and in the end, it sucked. So you just described.
I don't
Lost.
think in the end it
Yep.
sucked. I made my way through it and I enjoyed it. It's just towards the end, you're like, okay, you know, it's like the end is imminent. There's
Yeah.
not as many huge milestones in the story still, you know, so it's like, you know, we get it, you know, tighten it up a bit,
Got it.
tighten it up. But that was it. I mean, I definitely recommend it. It was definitely enjoyable, and it'll give you a different perspective on, you know, when personal things leak, and I think it'll give you a different perspective on Pam and Tommy, a positive one, a very positive one. So
Mhm. How many eggplants are you giving this one,
I
Jeff?
give it 3.5 eggplants out of 4.
There you go. That's strong.
Yeah, that was strong. So,
Excellent.
all right.
Have you all seen it? The tape?
Oh, the tape, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
I have
15
seen
when
it
it
as
came
well.
out, of course, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I was old.
I don't think I really watched any sex tape.
But that one it's exactly what you described as I was watching it like, yeah, I'm going to watch with my roommate brought home the tape, the VHS copy.
Mhm.
It was like, look, and
The
then
VHS?
we're like, all right, let's see some, you know, whatever sex. And it's like, I love you. I love you too. I love you. And we're like,
yeah, it's two
This is
people
like
who love each
awkward.
other.
That's a turnoff. I don't want to see
Yeah,
that.
it was very uncomfortable. They were all having a healthy relationship. What was that
Yeah.
about?
I don't want to
But then
see
he
two
did-
people in love.
he drove stuff with his penis, and that was cool.
I
He
mean, that was
drove a
neat.
boat.
I
Did
learned
they
a
show
trick,
that?
yeah.
No, but they did recreate a lot of it. They didn't recreate the sex.
What did he
but
drive?
He drove a boat with his penis.
Oh wow.
It's
Wow. Yeah, that is a penis that you talk to at that point. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much what came out of it. Is like, oh, Tommy Lee's got one of the biggest penises in all of rock. So I mean, it didn't. That's what I'm saying. It was like he becomes this hero, this hung hero, and Pam is like, you know,
And apparently gained
Yeah.
the rank of boat captain the entire time, too. So
exactly. All right. Well, can you believe it? We're at the end of the show.
That's
Look at
amazing.
that.
That's excellent.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. This is
I'd
great.
say
Thanks
that-
for having on.
I say that
Thank you for
ended
having us.
happily.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Remind everyone where they can find you and keep up with you and all that kind of good stuff, Jeff and Esther.
Okay. I am at Esther Toy, ESTHERTOI on all social media, including TikTok.
I am at Jeff Horste, JEFFHORSTE on all social media, also including TikTok, which has to be made separate somehow.
And we'll be
Yeah,
in
we're
Houston.
We're gonna be I'm gonna be in we're both gonna be in Houston, and I'm gonna be in Boise, Idaho this weekend. Before that, this weekend, and then April 1st, we are both going to be doing a one-nighter there in Houston. So
Awesome.
what's new.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Notorious CRP.
All right. Well, you can find me at thescenesnobs.com. Check us out. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Ron, say good night.
Yeah, Wednesday is right here and back on Delta Airlines again next week. So
Boom.
glad to
All
be your
right.
voice,
And I
girls.
am Jeff Dwoskin. You can check out my podcast live from Detroit, The Jeff Dwoskin Show, right in the middle of my Happy Days trilogy. Marion Ross this week. We got another one
Nice.
coming Monday. I'm so excited. But we'll see you next Wednesday, every Wednesday at 9:30. And that has been another episode of Crossing the Streams. Join us every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow The Jeff Dwoskin Show on YouTube to be alerted every time we go live with your hosts, Jeff Dwoskin, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Bob Phillips, Sal D'Amelio. We're all in the socials. Follow us. Listen to our podcasts live from Detroit, The Jeff Dwoskin Show, The Sal and Bob Show. Check them all out, and we'll see you next week and every week when we cross more streams right here. See you then.